Hi team, it's Rachel from Clever Social here once again with a hopefully short, sharp and to the point video on domain verification. Now I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of the background of this, but essentially Apple has said you can't have all that data you've been having on mobile devices, Facebook, by using the Pixel to collect information, and Facebook's been pretty unhappy about that, but this is the solution as it stands. With all these things, I expect there to be changes and tweaks. I have to say that I have already seen the impact of some of this stuff on my clients' accounts, and it hasn't been terrible. Essentially, we're not tracking as much data inside Ads Manager as easily as we used to, but you can still use Google Analytics to track what data, what activity has been driven by your Facebook ads, which you kind of already should have probably been considering doing anyway. So there's a great report on Google Analytics called Top Conversion Paths, and I recommend you jumping in there and having a look, because it will tell you all the steps that people take before they do the thing you want them to do, whether that's a purchase or fill in a form, what have you. So I digress. Let's kick on. So I'm inside my business manager at the moment, and I've gone down to brand safety domains, and I have my domain verification already set up, and it's got a green light, so I'm good to go. Now I'm just going to pretend that I'm creating one from scratch. You're only ever going to do this for your domain, for your top level of your domain. So let's pretend that I have cleversocial.com. I'm going to hit add domain in here. And you can see here that I'm offered some options on how to verify my domain so that Facebook knows I own it. So the easiest thing you can do is domain verification. Adding a text record to your host is very, very simple and quick. But if that is too much, or you don't have access to host, like maybe you bought your domain through Shopify or something like that, then the next thing you can do is a meta tag verification, which is very similar to how we used to add the Facebook pixel to our websites before integrations existed like they do now. So if you can get on your host and you know how to add a text record, go do that. It's under domain management, easy peasy. Otherwise, you can click on meta tag verification and you can copy this guy here. I'm going to quickly run you through on Squarespace and on Shopify where you would put that code. I suggest for any other platform, you would just Google where's my header. With WordPress, you can download a header footer plugin. There will be specific steps for your CMS. So this is a very basic thing that you would be doing, and it shouldn't be hard to complete is what I'm trying to say. So anyway, let's jump into Squarespace. So I have my Squarespace open here. This is my website. I have just gone into settings, advanced code injection, and I have just chucked my verification code at the very top here. That's all I've done. Now, I have multiple CMS, like I've got a Shopify site on a subdomain, and I have my main website on Squarespace. So I'm going to chuck this verification code in Shopify as well. And if you have a Shopify site as your main site, that's what you're going to want to do. So I have jumped into my online store. Here is my sales channel, and I'm going to go into edit code, and I'm just going to copy and paste that little bit of code from Business Manager into my theme, so you can see that it's sitting here. So under the head tag, I've pasted it in here, and that's all I've done, and I've hit save. And my domain should be verified in the next sort of 72 hours. Now, this is a two-parter. So this is the verifying your domain part. The second part is you need to actually tell Facebook how you want them to prioritize the actions people take on your website. So you need to jump into Events Manager, which would be home of your pixel. And you would be wanting to go into Aggregated Event Management right here. Now, if you haven't done this before, you should have pop-ups all through your Business Manager, your ad account, and inside Events Manager pointing you to this location because you need to do it. Now, you're going to click on Configure Web Events, and essentially what you need to do is prioritize how people may use your site. So I have a few domains that are appearing, and I'm really going to focus on my actual domain. Now, I'm not running any ads at the moment, and why that's important is anything I do in here can potentially slow down, stop or mess with my ads for 72 hours while these save. So you want to do it once and you want to do it right, and then you want to leave it alone. So if you are running ads at the moment and they're quite crucial or critical and they're not seemingly impacted by these changes, I would wait until those campaigns have finished. If suddenly things like your catalogue sales campaign or sort of any sort of retargeting has turned to rubbish, then I would be pausing those campaigns or stopping them, coming and doing this, waiting 3 days, and then kicking off again. Now, there are little bugs and things to iron out as we go through this process. So this works 99% of the time if you follow that instruction around what to do with your campaigns at this stage. Now, I am obviously a services business, so I don't track classic e-commerce events. But if you were an e-commerce business, which I know a lot of you are, especially if you're on Shopify, you would be putting these in priority order. So you would start with purchase, then add to cart, add payment info, initiate checkout. So you'd work your way backwards through all of these. And these are the only options you have. You can't track anything else. Now, I'm a little bit of a combination. So I could actually say I do want to track purchase because I do have some e-commerce activities on my site. And I do want to actually track add to cart. And view content would be my least priority. So what this means is that if I'm running a campaign and I've added all those columns, standard events columns that you can add to track all the different things that people do once they hit your website, Facebook's probably only going to report on this even if they did all of these things. They're only going to report on this even if they did all of these things. So whatever this highest priority is the thing that will be reported if someone did all of those things. So you with e-commerce, again, it's very black and white. You're going to want purchases, add to cart, and work your way back through the sales process that way. For someone like me who does a little bit of e-commerce, I have courses and things online that you can buy through my website. But mostly I'm looking at leads, people filling in my contact form, people booking calls with me or booking training sessions with me. Leads actually more of a priority for me. And so you're going to have to figure that out and just think about it. Now, once that's done, you can hit submit. Additionally, if you want more than 4, you can just keep clicking add event. There's only 8 of them, so you're only going to be able to do it 8 times. And then you're going to hit submit. And then you're going to say, yes, I understand these changes. It can take 2 days, and it may mess with some things. So app tracking transparency framework is the thing that Apple has implemented. And it will take 72 hours for the changes to take effect. So essentially anything we're doing, just give yourself 3 days. It was the same with the domain verification. It's a bit slow at the moment. And with this, so you kind of want a quiet patch in your digital ads to do this. So that will all be changed. Now, it's also key to note that some of this is like picking up my Q-City, other things where traffic seems to be picked up by Facebook or where my pixel is installed. I actually can't verify domains that I don't own. So I don't own any of these domains, so I can't verify them. So I'm just going to stick with my domain that I own. And that opens up a bit of a can of worms to end this video on, and that is that if you are using tools like in New Zealand we have, and in Australia as well, I believe we have Eventbrite where we might sell tickets. We don't own that. It's not linked to our business at all. It's just a marketing platform. You're not going to be able to track purchases, I believe, from a third-party site like that. So if you are using third-party websites, your pixel tracking and your ability to gather data inside Ads Manager is going to be severely impacted from this point onwards. I have no answer to that, except for maybe you need to sell tickets on something like Shopify, but we're just going to muddle our way through this as changes come to light. But this is what you need to do. It's a whole new world. Apple have said from spring they're rolling out this feature. It is now spring. They have already started rolling this out in New Zealand over the last 3 or 4 weeks. So I've seen the notifications that you receive. And essentially, when you're on Facebook and you leave Facebook or Instagram, you'll be prompted to say, do you want your data tracked? Now, the reason why I'm not hysterical about this at all is that 90% of the time when you click on an ad on Instagram or Facebook, you don't actually leave Instagram or Facebook, that you open a browser inside that app. So there's no permission required. It's when you leave. So for things like app installs, like if you are running an ad and you want someone to install your app, your potential customers are going to see, potential users are going to see a message saying, do you want your data tracked? And of course, most people are going to say, no, thank you. And that's where we run into reporting issues. So using things like UTM tagged URLs, using Google Analytics, if that's what you need to do to track attribution or how important Facebook is in your sort of customer journey, is what you're going to have to level up and begin doing. Yeah, that's it from me. And I hope that this was helpful and you can verify your domain.